Hey all, it's Zach Morris again. I'm CFM's second vice president and chair of the legislative committee, among other things. I'm supposed to talk to you about the big picture of CFM, what it means to be a part of our organization, and where the CLC program fits in there. Uh, Rather than a talking head in front of a bookshelf, I got a little inspired this morning while I was out on a conservation area, and so I recorded the video for you all, just speaking from the heart about what this organization means to me and to Missouri, and hopefully what it can mean to you all, and the goals that we have for the CLC program. So, what you're about to see is that mixed with a few of my other thoughts since then, and just know that you're a major part of the future of this organization, carrying on a mission that has been going since we were founded in 1935, 85 years and 2 days ago from when I'm recording this.
You know, as I sit here on this conservation area, I'm struck by the history of the Conservation Department and the history of CFM. Just a couple days after CFM celebrated its 85th anniversary. In 1985, wild turkey were extirpated from the state. There were less than 1,000 white-tailed deer. Water was dirty, air was polluted, and the citizens were concerned. And those citizens met together in Columbia at the Tiger Hotel and decided to do something about it. They gathered together and by initiative petition, a citizen-led process, created a constitutional amendment that created the first conservation department of its kind in the country. An agency that had its authority in the Constitution and not overseen by the legislature. You know, since then, Missouri truly has been the model for conservation in our country. And since then, we've had so many successes. We have one of the largest white-tailed deer herds and turkey flocks in the country. We have some of the best managed public resources. I've been watching the river otters play this morning. You know, I think back to a former CFM president, mentor of mine, Glenn Chambers, who passed away a few years ago. Glenn was instrumental in raising the otters that were reintroduced to the state by the Conservation Department. And not only that, but traveling over 800,000 miles with the otters that he raised to teach people about river otters and why they're important and why the Conservation Department was reintroducing them. One of the legacies that Glenn left was the CLC program. He was one of its major advocates within CFM when it first started. He mentored a number of students. And this organization, CFM, has a history that is critically important to the natural resources, not only of Missouri, but really of the nation, because they led the way in the modern conservation movement. It truly did. And the next leg of that movement is the CLC program. And I really believe that. I listened to Colin O'Mara, the CEO of the National Wildlife Federation, say the same thing. So know that as much as you're going to hear this weekend and as overloaded as you might be, it really is important. The resolutions that you might work on will become CFM policy. They will be what CFM uses to advise agencies on how to proceed on certain issues. One such issue that comes to mind immediately is the black bear season that was just approved by the Conservation Commission. You know, a few years ago, some CLC students worked on a resolution about black bear hunting, and the Big Game and Fur Bears Committee helped them to use the best available science and to support a season only if the science supported it and the populations could sustain it and that sort of thing. And now that's something that's come to fruition. Is that only because of CFM? Maybe not, but sometimes these resolutions are the support that an issue really needs. The written, explicit, clear support that becomes the policy of this organization that an issue really needs to get pushed across the finish line. So, whatever topics you dream up, whatever, we've come a long, long way since 1935, but there are so many obstacles in front of us. So, think about where you want to see conservation go. What issues matter to the state, to hunters and anglers, and to you, and to this organization. And any of those can be a resolution. We need to make sure that we do the appropriate amount of research, which is why the resolution process starts now. And these will be discussed by the appropriate committee come convention in March, and then voted on by all of CFM. And if resolutions are adopted, then that becomes our policy. That becomes the issues that the staff will go out and fight for. That becomes something that the legislative committee can take to the Capitol and say, look, this is what our members voted on. This is what the outdoors people of Missouri believe you should do. And so that's why the process starts now, and that's why it's so important. And I'm sitting in the middle of the evidence of the success of this model on public land, managed by the Conservation Department, with my dog. You all will meet him if you haven't at some point. And really, I'm just struck by the success story of this organization, of our Conservation Department in Missouri, and of you, of the CLC program, of the next generation. We really are the model for the country, for conservation leadership, for youth education. And the issues that you're working on now really matter. Just know that things look a little different right now. I'm talking to you on a cell phone camera from a marsh instead of in person. But the work can still continue, and it's still just as important as it ever was. And know that we're here for you to answer any questions. I'm looking forward to seeing what this new group of students comes up with, and frankly, I'm really excited to see 5 years from now the results of the resolutions that you're working on today. Who knows what exciting ideas you'll come up with that we will all get to benefit from.